What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Clippers Latest, where we talk all things LA Clippers, quick, fast, and to the point. I'm your host with the most, Brandon Goggins, back here with another episode for you guys today. Special shout out to Underdog for sponsoring this video. How is everybody doing today? I hope that everybody is on maybe just cloud nine after today's dub or yesterday's dub. My bad. Um, but now I hope that everybody's doing good, man. I'm not gonna say that it's a good time to be a Clippers fan, but it's a good time to be happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still may be in the bottom sector of the conference, but we are on the come up. We still sitting at that 11th spot, but teams better watch out. Don't get complacent because we coming. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, we're gonna talk about the game. Talk about how everything unfolded today. It was a breeze for a long minute, but then it got kind of scary. I ain't gonna lie. In that second half, the Wizards they're a young and hungry team, man. They're not the best, but they're not the well. I was gonna say they're not the worst either, but they're gonna make it competitive if you allow them to. So we're gonna talk about all of that. But before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Make sure you hit that like button on the video if you're here and you're rocking with Clipper Nation. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. Starting with the first quarter. We were down a few guys coming into this one, so I already knew that this game was going to be about depth and response. Obviously, we had Bogey out with his hamstring. DJJ was still out with his knee. But we also had Zoo sitting with an ankle sprain, and John Collins, he had a groin issue he was dealing with, so that's a lot of rotation minutes missing. So we ended up starting Kobe Sanders and Brook Lopez in those two places alongside Kawhi, James, and Chris Dunn. The Wizards, they ran, I believe, Bilal Coulibaly, Trey Johnson, Keyshawn George, I almost called him Keontae, um, Chris Middleton, and Alex Sarr. So on paper, it's a winnable game, but these young teams, they gonna run you out this gym if you come out too lazy. And like to start it off, like very early on, it was just Chris Middleton cooking. He scored the first 7 points for the Wizards, and they jumped out 7-2. But it didn't take us long to settle in and get our groove together. Kobe and Kawhi hit back-to-back threes, and they made it a 15-9 Clipper lead to force a timeout. And then from there, we just kept on stacking on good possessions, and eventually we pushed it to a 13-point lead with about 3 minutes left to go. With Oh shoot, I just bit my cheek, bro. Don't y'all hate when y'all do that? Like, ow, bro, damn. Anyways, with Zoo being out, we got some first quarter Yannick minutes, and I love that. He made an impact almost immediately. He had a block at the rim, then he had a nice little reverse finish down the middle. I don't even know like how to describe it. It was nice though. No hesitation on that one. And then Batum, he hit him a little corner three. He pushed it to 18, and I ain't gonna lie. I know it's the Wizards, but I just love seeing the Clippers click, man. I love seeing this team really play as a cohesive unit. Um, we ended the first up 15, and then James Harden, he led the way with 13 points. And in the second quarter, we started out with the Jordan Miller lob to Yannick for the slam, and I was like, oh my goodness. It brought tears to my eyes for real, like tears of joy, obviously. I keep saying it. This kid can be special if he's given a real chance to show for it. Ty Lue, it seemed like he was believing in him a little bit. He rolled out. He rolled with a lot of the youth for this stretch. We had the vets Kawhi and Batum out there with Jordan Miller, Yannick, and Cam Christie. And it looked like we were like essentially trying to match Washington's youth and get our guys some real reps at the same time. And let's just say that Yannick took full advantage of that. Crazy slam off the pick and roll with Kawhi. He started 4 for 4, and honestly, he was looking more confident than I've ever seen him. So far this season. Granted, that sample size isn't incredibly large, but he was looking good out there, and he looked a lot like he didn't look timid. He looked like he was ready for the moment. Every time the Wizards responded, we had an answer for their response, and that lead grew to 20, and then that's when I knew it was going to be one of them nights. When Brook Lopez was in his bag hitting transition threes, and I was like, yeah. everybody eating tonight, I guess. So we ended the half up 19. Yannick was hooping. He was smiling. You could see the pure joy on his face. Ty Lue, please just play this fella. Please play this guy. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back. And Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. You just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more things of that nature. If you get your picks right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. That's 5,000 times your cash. That's pretty a lot, man. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at this Milwaukee and San Antonio game, and I'm like, I think I'm going to select Giannis for higher than 27.5 points, and I'm also going to select Wemby for higher than 23.5 points because anytime these two teams play, both of these guys, they really get after it. I think that Giannis and Wemby are both going to bring their A games tomorrow, and I think that it should be a good game. But to find out how you may do, I think you should download the app today and use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's promo code BasketballFan. Underdog, make picks, win money. And when we're on the topic of Underdog, let's talk about Kawhi Leonard. Because what we've been watching over these last couple weeks ain't just like a hot stretch. This is playoff mode Kawhi. Over his last 5 games, Kawhi has been absolutely electric. You can see here, we talking mid-20s to mid-30s every night. Efficient shooting, controlled pace, zero wasted movement. And when you zoom out a little bit more on the spectrum, over his last 12 games, Kawhi is averaging 32.7 points per game. And that does not include the 33 that he just dropped against the Wizards. It's not a random blip. It's a trend. A good trend, I must say. And what makes this stretch even crazier is that he's doing it while having career highs across the board. Career high in scoring average. Number 1 in free throw percentage in the league. Number 1 in steals per game. And one of the biggest things that jump off the screen, Kawhi is taking more threes than he ever has in his career. And with that, he's knocking them down. You know, this isn't forced. It ain't shot chucking. Kawhi is picking his spots. He's spacing the floor, and he's punishing teams for giving him airspace. And he's doing it well. Tyronn Lue even said it himself. Ever since the Lakers game, it felt like Kawhi has flipped into playoff mode. And if you know anything about Kawhi Leonard, when he hits the playoffs, the league usually don't have an answer, you know? So here's where it gets interesting. The next game will be against Toronto. And yeah, he won a title with Toronto. You know, one of the most dominant postseason runs of all time. So you don't think he's thinking about that in the back of his head? You don't think he's going into that game locked in, loaded? I know that he's on a minute restriction, but I still expect him to be aggressive early on, control the mid-range, get to his spaces, get to the line, let the game come to him. And this is where Underdog makes it fun. Looking at Kawhi right now, the way he's scoring, the way he's shooting, the way he's living at the free throw line, you're not just hoping for a big night. You're kind of expecting it. Whether that be points, threes made, or even steals, this version of Kawhi is checking multiple boxes every single game. And the craziest part is doing all of this without looking rushed, without looking stressed, without looking like he's trying to prove anything. That's just why, man. He's just being him. So if you're looking at if you're looking at that Toronto game and you're thinking about what kind of night Kawhi might have, all I'm going to say is this. When Kawhi is healthy, confident, and dialed in, the numbers usually take care of themselves. And right now, he's dialed all the way in. So now we get to the third quarter, and this is where things started to get a little uncomfortable. We led as much as 24. We led by as much as 24 points. But the Wizards cut it to 12 pretty quick, and that forced a Ty Lue timeout. Kawhi came right out of that timeout and hit a 3 to put us back up 15, but the momentum didn't fully stop, you know, from Washington's end. We started the quarter 2 for 10 from the field. The Wizards started 9 for 12. They go on a 12-0 run, and all of a sudden, it's an 8-point game. I'm like, oh, no. We not doing this today. Don't do this today. Please don't do this today. I can't, bro. I can't. Life been a little too good. You know what I mean? I can't deal with it. It wasn't even us, like, turning the ball over and nothing. Like, we just couldn't hit a shot. These boys cut it to 2. We were up by 24, and they cut it to 2. And Kawhi was on the bench. I was scared as hell. For real though. Like, for real. I was like, are we actually about to do this? Cause I ain't got all that. Like, I know that we've won. What are we? 11 of our last 13. I know that we've won a lot of our games in this past stretch, but I'm still not in the position. Like, bro, I got PTSD or something. I got some type of PTSD of us like blowing leads and then not being able to regain it back. So I was scared, bro. Jordan Miller was the only thing that was holding us together. He was getting a few buckets, just scoring just enough to keep them off our heels. But they were there. They were right there. You know, Yannick was still holding his own too. He was up to 16.7 from the field. No diss to Brook. Might be a diss. But I don't think that we lose that lead if Yannick doesn't sit. If I'm being honest, I don't think that Brook can necessarily keep up with that youth and that pace. Whereas Yannick is a lot more young and spry. You get what I'm saying? So we ended the third up 7 miraculously. By the breath of our lungs. And that was that was a miracle in itself. So then we get to the fourth quarter. And it started with Kawhi and James trading shifts. Kawhi was in, Harden went to the bench. Batum, he hit a corner 3 to push it to 8. Kawhi followed it up with a 3 of his own. Then another one, that being his 5th 3 of the game, and that put him at 27. Washington ended up calling a timeout when they were down 14, and then Kawhi comes out and hits another 3 to get him to 30 for the night. How often are we seeing Kawhi drop 30 now? It's actually kind of wild if you think about it, bro. Because, like, when's the last time he was... I feel like I say this often, but, like, he's literally doing this every night, it feels like. Obviously not every night, but, like, it feels like every night. He's averaging 32.7 points per game over the last 12. So, basically, on average, every night. He ended up sitting again to maintain his minute restriction. And, go figure, the lead immediately shrinks. So, of course, he has to come in, come back down, you know, put on his cape, calm everything down, hit another 3 that put us back up double digits, and that was pretty much that. You know, one man's impact on this team, simply different. But we were able to finish it out. We ended up winning by 14, even though we tried to make it harder than we needed it to be. But I can't lie. We are shining. We are thriving as a unit right now. Yes, it's the Wizards. Yes, the competition during our little stretch hasn't been like the best of the best, not all of the teams at least. But from where we were a month ago, this is only great progress. You know, and keep in mind, we did this without Zoo and John Collins. We had the young guys show up. Yannick needs more minutes, bro. Like, simple as that. Kawhi's doing this thing. It seems like that unit of James, Kawhi, Kobe, Batum, and Yannick was really getting stuff done. I like that unit out there. Hopefully we can see that against Toronto. Jordan Miller was also doing his thing. I like what I saw out of Miller today. Chris Dunn gonna be Chris Dunn. John Collins is gonna come back, and even though he didn't have like an extravagant showing last time, well, I don't know if he's gonna come back. I assume that he's gonna come back Thursday, or I'm saying Thursday, Saturday. I'm hoping so, but you know, fingers crossed. But whenever he does come back, I expect him to get back on that kind of personal run that he's on. He's been playing pretty well as well. So we're going to need everybody against Toronto, you know. They're a big, physical, lengthy team that likes to get after it. And we have not been great against these Northeastern teams. You know, Boston, New York. They are the 2 losses that we've had in our 13-game run. So let's see if we can break that streak. But nonetheless, good win. Let's keep building. That's gonna do it for this episode, though, y'all. Thank you for bearing with me. If you can't tell, kind of feeling a little under the weather, so I was trying to make it do what it do, how I do when I do it. But I'm gonna get on up out of here, y'all. Y'all be easy. Y'all stay sleazy. Make sure you hit that like button and consider subscribing if you're new here. If you ain't Clip Gang, don't bang. But hope to see you guys in the next video. But until then, I'm gonna catch y'all. Y'all be smooth. Peace.